Testing.
Hello.
1 2 testing. As she went the smart route and got mittens, I didn't, so I'm paying the price. Yo, what's up, folks? Miles Jones here with another episode of My Type of People. We're here in Cary. This Cary?
Morrisville-ish.
Morrisville, Apex-ish.
We're in the woods.
We're in the woods. And I have with me graphic designer, UI, UX designer, Maddy Kelly.
Hello.
And we're running today in 25-degree weather while talking about design. So let's get right to it. So bring us into your world. Like, what do you do and why did you choose the path of design?
So I am a user interface, or I usually say product designer, for a youth sports software company. I work with a team of other developers, I'm not a developer, other designers, product managers, sales and customer success folks, and of course those like business admin professionals, to develop and maintain the software for our users. So my job essentially is to create the screens and task flows that act as blueprints for our developers to actually code into the live site and app. And now I'm out of breath.
It's hard. But we just started.
We just walked. It's so cold out here. So I always say that I kind of like stumbled into my career path as a happy accident. I started out pre-med and in environmental science. I really love like problem solving in well-defined parameters. When science wasn't working for me, I ended up in the Creative Center at school, was recommended design, and that was kind of the first time in my career, in my undergrad career, that I'd like experienced ease. Really loved it. Decided to go to grad school for more exposure to the field, right? Have more qualifications, open up my options, get more experience. Of course, in grad school, I worked a variety of like part-time graphics jobs, everything from fashion to a think tank to dental sanitation supplies. So if you don't think you can design for the covering on a toothbrush, you absolutely can.
You can do it. Like we're doing this.
And we got an intern doing it. So by the time I was graduating from grad school, looking for, my full-time job, I kind of had a more fully fleshed out idea of what I didn't like, than maybe what I did like in the workplace, but was interested in product design, interested in tech startups, and was lucky enough to find a role in that, and a role where I discover more and more what I do like. And a lot of that is just due to working at a good company for good people that really care about making a good product for our users.
Pause. If you weren't a designer, what do you think you would be doing?
So I touched on, I started in the sciences. I really enjoyed medicine and environmental science. I worked in an environmental science lab for years in undergrad. If you're interested in the desertification of U.S. prairie lands. So I think maybe something in science. I find myself really interested now in journalism and sort of in like a design thinking way of like, how do these journalists like formulate questions to like remove their own biases, or like maybe on the other hand, how do they formulate a question to receive a desired answer? So, beyond that, you get to meet new and interesting people, go new interesting places. So yeah, I think journalism would be like such a cool job to have.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And chatting nonstop.
Okay. Hands frozen, y'all. Hands. She went the smart route and got mittens. I didn't, so I'm paying the price. So how much psychology goes into the work that you do?
This is a good question, because I think as a less experienced designer, I thought it would be more, and I think this comes out a lot of our education often being like UX UI mixed, UX being a little more like qualitative in nature, but UI follows a lot of logical, almost like mathematical rules, especially being limited by the parameters of the code base that you design for, right?
Right.
I see psychology mainly now in my work in sort of like the self-development sphere that all young professionals I think are in, where it looks like practicing good habits in the workplace, right? Things like in design, being receptive to feedback. So I think it looks a lot like self-development mostly, and it's like knowing when I'm self-inserting in the work, knowing am I being open to feedback, am I being receptive to being wrong, right? And I think specifically in product design, I see psychology show up in just being not too precious about my work, right? We move very quickly, and oftentimes the goal is to get the feature our user wants and needs out. And so that means knowing when to say, like, this is V1, this is the MVP, sending it out, this isn't my baby, right? This is a feature for my users. So yeah, I think it's mostly the self-development space.
Awesome. I feel like in a way you got to be mind readers a little bit, even though that's not feasibly possible. But I mean, designers, I feel like we kind of got these psychic powers to try to, well, it's kind of like user error. Try the first couple times, it's like, okay, I didn't get it right. So it's like, how about this? It's like, oh yeah, I like that. And then they're like, okay, I can kind of read your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you're going towards.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we play translator in a lot of ways, I think, too, that goes kind of under recognized. Of like, some, you know, you get to know what your users really mean, you know, if you're directly communicating with them, or you know what your product managers really mean when they say something, or what they're looking for specifically. So yeah, I think you're totally right. Like, it's not even just like design, it's also like being translator and mind reader sometimes too. Yeah. Yeah, tell me before you have a medical emergency.
I might pass out, who knows. So how do you balance creativity with usability?
I think in product design that creativity gets sort of like a different definition almost. Again, we're under more defined parameters than maybe some other areas of design, but I think for product design, creativity is problem solving. And I always use this analogy of like finding a parking space to describe this kind of like creative problem solving. Like if you were parking somewhere and it's raining, you're going to park closer, right? To get inside faster. Maybe you're getting your steps in, you're going to park farther away. Maybe, you know, this parking lot gets really crazy at like 5 p.m. Everybody's out of work. So you're going to park closer to the exit to get out quickly.
Right.
And product design, our problem solving is very similar in that you're considering sort of all of your options for your desired outcome. And oftentimes usability is one of the desired outcomes, oftentimes, always.
Right, always.
We want our product to be usable. And so you're considering every option to solve the problem at hand, one of those problems being usability.
So how do you design for people that's not like you?
So I think given like the nature of the product that I design for, our users are pretty much never like me, just in their roles on the software, in their needs on the software. So I think that's first thing. Second is always designing with best practice in mind. That means checking like color contrast, right? Checking text legibility. And we have specific use cases. Like we had one feature where it was going to be used primarily on like an iPhone or iPad screen, so smaller screen, on a field in direct sunlight. And so that means color contrast needs to be higher, text legibility needs to be better. It means you need to like really trim the fat on the feature. You know, are these things necessary? How do we make this easy to see, easy to use, uncomplicated? And I think the other thing is I'm also not just designing for users. I'm not the only person that interprets my work. So developers need to go in, reference my work, interpret it, code for it. So being considerate and cognizant that they're in the file, my product managers, other designers. So I'm always designing with my whole team in mind, and then my users and their needs too.
Nice. I can't I can't stop the video because my hands are frozen. So that's the joy of running in 25-degree weather. Let me see. Okay. So while running, her hair tie broke. So
that's how cold it is.
That's how cold it is out here. But we are going to keep it on going. So what skills matter more now than versus when you first started?
I think, you know, we've touched on some of the soft skills, right? Being receptive to feedback, being open to being wrong, personal development skills. I think code-based knowledge feels pretty important right now in product design, right? Knowing the parameters of your software, knowing your data model, being a good designer to your developers, all those things. I'm finding more and more that design systems feels really relevant in the space. You know, and there's even dedicated roles for design systems designers, but it's also just being aware that you're not just working within the context of like your established company or brand, but also the design team. And and helping to develop and maintain your team's design system helps the entire team progress, helps to move the product forward, helps to keep everyone at best practice, and really it's just like a team player endeavor. So I think, yeah, the soft skills, code-based knowledge, and design systems work feel pretty relevant right now.
Yeah, definitely. In this day and age. So speaking of this day and age, AI.
Yeah.
Got to talk about AI.
Yeah.
So how has AI changed or not changed your work thus far?
So I think I'm seeing AI as being helpful in like automation, and that's really of sort of the mundane, the logical things like systems documentation, right? Things like copywriting. I'm sure product managers are sick of spell checking us. So AI is pretty helpful for things like that. I'm not seeing AI as much in like the actual UI design space yet. Why is that? Training data.
Yeah.
Where are professionals hosting their work versus what is AI training on? I do use a Figma tool a lot that helps us to search for screens. That's an AI tool. And I have heard in the graphics space that AI is changing sort of where the designer comes in the process. And you touched on this earlier, Nigel, that we act as like translator and mind reader. And clients that are using AI now to generate an image are finding that they don't have the designer brain to translate for them, right? So I was listening to this podcast where they were talking about this, and these graphics designers were saying like, car coming. These graphics, we can turn around actually. Okay, so these graphics designers specifically were saying they're going in now to the end stage of image generation, right? So client has prompted AI to generate an image for them instead of asking a designer. And these designers are fixing it in the end stage. So why? What does it mean? As graphics, anyone who's worked in graphics, I think, has heard make it bigger, right? And we know as designers, that often means make it more visually emphasized. So that might mean make it bigger, but that might mean make it bolder, make the text different, make it stand out in some way. You prompt AI, make it bigger. AI is great at listening. AI is going to make it bigger. So these designers on this podcast were talking about how their role now is in sort of that translator space between like client brief and AI prompting and what they actually want the image to look like. And that's one of those under-recognized design skills for sure. But I think it's also AI might just shift our role as designers, and being prepared to use our full range of skills is something I think we can all prep for.
For sure. AI translates good sometimes until they're making a hand that looks like this on the like a pig or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's learning over time.
For sure.
What's the mileage? Where we at?
We're at.
All right.
That's us walking right now.
2.68, and this is my hands. Can I move them? Update. So where we at? Almost there. We're doing 4 miles. So if someone wants to get into UI design today, like what should they do? Where should they start?
This is an awesome question because the thing that I love about tech specifically is sort of it's like open source, like cowboy foundations. So there are tons of free resources. If you're interested in UI, or if you're not sure you're interested in UI, I would start. I'm making a free account on Figma. That's kind of the premier design software. It's certainly what we use professionally. I'm exploring Figma community, so designers, professionals will share their work. You can go into their files, you can copy it over, and you can plug and play. See how these professionals structure their work, how they make components, variants. You can get a really good idea of how to set up your own software, your own screens. I would sign up for daily UI's prompts in my inbox. So if you're looking to build a portfolio, now you don't have to come up with the ideas yourself. You'll get those for free every day. I would get a library card. Maybe take the, often libraries have Udemy courses. That's Udemy with a Y. Those are free business courses. I haven't personally explored their UI UX catalog. Same with Coursera. That's where I take all of my continuing education. They have great free courses. So I think, again, with like the parking analogy, you are using design thinking in your life every day without realizing. Like you absolutely can be a UI designer. There's absolutely ways for you to break into the field. You don't need a 4-year degree, to my knowledge. I haven't been in the job market in a while. But Google has a great UX UI certificate. I do believe that's paid, but it is well respected in the industry. So yeah, I mean, here's me dropping my phone. You can
RIP to the phone.
you can absolutely be a UI designer, and I think the more minds we have, the better. So yeah, come and join us, explore it, check it out. And I'm always happy to answer any questions or emails or whatever if you have an interest in UI design.
Do your research, folks. That's all you got to do. Do your research. And going back to people that don't know what Figma is, that's a design software, UI design software. So for those who don't know, that's what Figma is.
Yeah, they also have great, if you want to have like the coolest slide decks at your work, maybe you're not a designer, they have great Figma slides, very cool templates. They have really good like collaborative tools. I think that's FigJam. They also have tools where you can talk right on a file through, I think that's FigJam. And they have like a little audio thing, like in the icon with the headphones. So yeah, I mean, Figma is it's a great software to learn. And it's likely what professional workplaces are using for the most part.
Yeah, 3 miles.
Imagine if this whole interview was in slow-mo.
Yeah, I'd be pissed. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, well, I'd be so angry at myself. The whole interview, like.
That'd be a rough thing to watch back.
Oh my God. What excites you the most about the future of design, and where do you see yourself going?
Okay, I'm gonna use AI, I think, is my analogy because they're so interlinked. What I feel optimistic about with the future of AI is how I feel about the future of design, right? And it's this optimism that the pendulum will swing back from technological progress and benchmarks for the sake of making progress and reaching benchmarks back towards using these new capabilities to solve for real human needs, right? So I recently attended this local lecture by Notre Dame AI researcher and Professor Ahmed Abbasi, and Professor Abbasi presented this like data visualization that was all of this published AI research, right, over the last like decade or so. And the topics overwhelmingly went from this like mix of like service and social good, right? We look at community and like mental and physical health, and the mix of like technological capability exponentially towards technological capability research. So those like service and social good initiatives kind of dropped off a little bit. But it is very helpful, of course, to make technological progress, right? This GPT model trained to the nth power, more data. And I think we can use these new capabilities to really address human problems and be good to one another. And I think design is so like uniquely capable of being a part of this because like the nature of our work is asking what someone else needs, what the user needs, what the client needs. So I think this kind of design thinking methodology using these new like technological capabilities is going to be so helpful towards like actually solving problems, or even just starting to ask people what they really need rather than maybe more prescriptive ideas. As for my own future, right now I'm pretty focused on like professional development. So I'm taking a lot of coursework. I took a crypto course last year.
Oh, nice.
Financial markets. Right now I'm taking responsive web coding, so like coding for dummies. So yeah, I mean, I think my goal is seeing my company progress, and not just seeing, but being an active participant in that. And so progressing myself even in these like sort of small sustainable ways over time. So yeah, it really looks like a lot of professional development for me right now, and
grind it out.
Yeah, and hopefully moving forward with my company.
Awesome. All right, finished the 4 miles, and I haven't ran in a long time, so
you did great.
You did too, and can't feel my hands, so we're going. Got the last, so we're doing a special segment, rapid fire. So I made this especially for Maddy. I'm trying something new. All right. Rapid fire. Dark or light mode?
Dark mode is a user, light mode if I'm designing it.
Figma or Sketch?
Figma.
Coffee or music while designing?
Coffee, white noise.
AI, help or hype?
Help with all the automated, mundane, hype trying to replicate the human spirit.
All right. That's it.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So that concludes another episode of My Tall People, folks, and see you next time.